Hello and welcome to the Off-Grid Dev Stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Rich Metzen. I am one of the developers behind Off-Grid, a stealth hacking game about surveillance and data privacy. Essentially, in Off-Grid, you are manipulating the data left behind by all of the NPCs in the world in order to try and change their behavior and then stealth around them. So essentially it's the Steam Games Festival. I'm here to show you a bit of Off-Grid. Hopefully it's something you've been keeping an eye on. If it's new to you, then welcome. Off-Grid's kind of interesting because it's one of those games that oh, hey Tolle. Tolle says, is this live? Yes, this is live. No pre-records here. Yep, we're absolutely live. We're live and we're playing and talking about Off-Grid. So thanks for coming along. Yeah, essentially, Off-Grid is a game that's sort of inspired by kind of the last sort of 15 years or so of hacktivism. It's something that my co-founder of the studio and I, Pontus, we're both kind of passionate about data privacy, mass surveillance, digital rights, open source communities, all that kind of stuff. And so we sort of started out prototyping it from the perspective of wanting to make a game that looked at what data privacy is, why it's important, and essentially tried to work out what game mechanics you would use to explore that. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into, I've got a dev build here that actually is the same build that we used for the demo. So I'm playing exactly what you're playing. I've got the Apostle mission here, which is the one that we're looking to play. The difference is I've actually got a few mods installed here. So Off-Grid is a moddable hacking game where you can make your own levels, make your own stories, your own conversations, tell the story of hackers and hacker culture, hacktivism from your own perspective. And if you are making mods, oh, hang on a sec. If you're making mods, then this is where they turn up in the map screen. Managed to lose my mouse though. Hang on a sec. What's going on here? So when you create a mod, it will show up here in the map screen. When you subscribe to one in Steam Workshop, it will show up here in the map screen. And just a sec. Basically, any mod can branch off of any of the other game's story missions. So that's kind of the general gist of where mods and where you can make your stuff go comes from. We're going to play the Apostle, which drops you kind of halfway into the game. So a lot of the tools are already in there. There's not much tutorialization. So yeah. So Tolle says, when is the release day? Because as a big nerd, this game looks so good. Thank you so much. Well, the release date for Off-Grid is still something that we're working out. we're kind of deep in production. We were hoping that we would get the game out sort of sometime by the end of the year. With the kind of current climate, coronavirus, everyone's shifting their release dates around because of that, and the new console generation coming at the end of the year. We're obviously going to kind of keep an eye on things and work that out. But the game is quite far along, as you can hopefully see from the modding tools, and the fact that, you know, kind of a lot of the mechanics are quite advanced. So yeah, we'll be out, you know, in not too long is the plan. This first loading screen often takes a little while, so you always have to bear with it a touch. On the demo, if you do get this happen and it ends up feeling like it's stuck, kind of, as long as you've got audio in the ears, it's probably still loading. Unity's kind of 100% thing is totally misleading and something that we're going to have to hack around. The other option is you can actually close the game and reopen it, and often this will load much faster for some reason. So let me just got the right stuff here. Come on. Okay, let's try just reboot. What will probably happen is if I talk about rebooting, just load. Tola, tell me what it is about off-grid that looks so good to you. I'm intrigued as to what the sort of things that you picked up on are. Tell me. Just going to stop and start off-grid again. You'll have a brief dip in music for a moment while we do. Because I'm an IT student. Perfect. So do you do lots of stuff with sort of networking, that kind of thing? What a time to have a game crash, eh? Here we go. Let's run this again. So this game is right up my alley. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, and that's the kind of cool thing about what we've done with Off-Grid actually. It's a lot of sort of hacker games are just typing in a terminal, kind of doing kind of Unix commandy type things, and I think that can be quite off-putting to people. We've kind of gone down the route of following that sort of sense of realism, if you will, through making sure that we are simulating network packets and using SSH as the way that you try and access devices and things like that. But we've also made it kind of nice and approachable from the perspective of, you know, it is your more traditional stealth game. You are going to be kind of running around, kind of trying to sneak around in the shadows, trying to work out what your adversaries are up to, which can kind of seem a little slow or abstract in a lot of hacking games. Ben B says, also a big nerd and fan of the game, just joined to say keep up the good work, hopefully with less crashes though. Yeah. So Ben, did you played the demo and you had a couple of crashes? Is that what you're mentioning there, or are you just talking about my crash just here? As you know, the game is in development, so it's the sort of thing that you will witness on occasion, but it's what keeps us on our toes for certain. Right, let's get this demo started so that we're actually playing something interesting. Jump in. It's all here. Thanks both for turning up and being in the chat. See, like I told you, basically it loads almost instantly when you, I don't know, run it once and then close it and run it again. I'm not sure why. So the story so far, you play as a technophobe dad called Joe. Your daughter, it turns out, is pretty tech savvy, and you've kind of ended up in this position where you are you're kind of dependent on her, right? You know, it's that whole thing with the VCR where dad has no idea how to run the VCR, and you know, the kid has to kind of know this is how you do this. VCR. Oh my god, I'm showing my age. Anyway, from that perspective, Jen runs the computers, runs all the smart devices in the home, all this kind of stuff, and Dad's kind of rubbish without her. But then it turns out over breakfast one morning, she gets bundled away by the authorities, and she's maybe been up to some shenanigans that she shouldn't have been. She's part of Hacktivist crew. They've all been simultaneously raided. Only one of them, going by the name of Smedley, has managed to escape. He's kind of gone on the run and is in hiding with just an emergency USB stick with a few basic tools. He gets in touch and says, essentially, there's something really serious going on here. I can't get to the bottom of it because I've got to hide out. I need to get you to try and help me work out what's happened to Jen and what's happened to the rest of our friends. And so you, as a kind of complete noob technophobe, are like, I don't know what an internet is. Like, how am I going to do this? And essentially, Smedley says, well, I've got a few basic hacking tools. I'm going to have to teach you how to hack. We're going to go and find documents to try and work out what is going on. Ben says, no, not really. Just talked about the momentary crash there. It was just a tease. No worries. Yep. No, I'm more than happy to be teased. The developers kind of have to get used to being teased about crashes, or it's one of those things. So yeah, you're helped by the hacker Smedley. You set out to discover the truth of what's happened to Jen and her crew. With the internet being an entirely surveilled structure, piece of utility in this world and ours. You're drawn to the world of mesh networking to communicate with fellow hackers. To complete each level, you must place a new mesh network node and connect a new area of the city being what you saw in the map screen at the beginning there. So essentially, in this level, you've been contacted by the newspaper editor of an investigative newspaper called The Apostle. And the message is kind of cryptic, but basically he's been informed about your daughter being mixed up in this set of raids of hackers that are thought to be potentially slightly extrajudicial or problematic. And he said, one of my journalists has been working on a related story, and I've been tipped off to the fact that we're going to have a raid in the morning, and his laptops and research are going to be confiscated. And so he's gotten in touch with Smedley to see, or a kind of network of hackers who have pushed him in our direction to say, like, can you get this journalist's laptop, make a copy of the data on it, and get it out before the morning raid. And that's kind of where we find ourselves. We're still kind of new to using any of the hacking tools. We're not really all that happy about the fact that we've been asked to run around in a back alley of a newspaper. I've just realised my laptop isn't plugged in, so I'm actually going to just grab the cable quickly. I'll keep talking. Just a sec. Okay, I'm back. Just a second. Oh, doing things live. Slightly but what happened tonight was we decided what we would do is stream a more US-centric time for you folks over in the USA and other parts of the world. So it's actually like midnight, 20 past midnight over here for me. And I thought, oh, I'll have a little nap beforehand so I don't fall asleep while we do the stream. And that has actually resulted in me forgetting to plug my laptop in and a couple of other basics that you kind of need to have in place for streaming. But we're there now. We are back. I'm mildly out of breath because I realised I had to run for the charger. So, off-grid, essentially, we're in the back alley of this newspaper office. We're going to find out what exactly they want us to do. So, Smedley, the hacker that's gotten in touch with you, Joe, are you there yet? Yes. What on earth am I doing here? Smedley says, long story, that journo Lakewood is being held at the airport. You need to get into his offices and copy anything of his you can. Joe's like, oh, that doesn't sound entirely legal, or right, and why, or okay, I don't feel like chatting. I would say that doesn't sound entirely legal. You can skip through these messages with backspace or B to speed things up a little. Smedley says, yeah, it's not. They are abusing anti-terrorism laws to hold him. And our reply would be, no, the whole getting into the offices thing. Wait, what? Did you just say terrorism? I think, wait, what? Did you just say terrorism? I just want to find out what happened to my daughter. Smedley's like, smiley face, just find a way to get in through the deliveries area. He's avoiding our questions. And then make your way towards the men's toilets. You might be able to get inside the secured area from there. There we go. So these are the basic tools in off-grid. We have our apps down on the left-hand side, and we have a particular tool called Spectrum and the data utility. So left and right arrow, or on your D-pad on a gamepad, left and right. Data utility will turn Flutter, which is the sort of Twitter thing, off, and the helper app off as well. V key or left trigger gives you this data view, which starts to visualize the packets and network across the networks that you have access to. So we're actually starting out with just access to 4G networks. We need to get inside and get to the Wi-Fi network. So Tolle, or I hope I'm pronouncing it right, maybe it's Toll. This is where your kind of IT admin stuff comes in, a bit of kind of Wireshark or Nmap kind of feels going on here. If you imagined Nmap but in 3D, where you get kind of a 3D breadcrumb trail of a network and its devices, or Wireshark, where you kind of maybe Wireshark in 3D, where you're visualizing the packets over a network. This is kind of the direction that we're going with it. So yeah, I mean, an interesting question is, you know, kind of what was the inspiration for Off-Grid? Why do we play as a technophobe dad? I kind of, Pontus and I were kind of tired of that thing whereby you play a game where you're supposed to be the supposed secret agent, super hacker, whatever, and then you go around bumping into walls, or you can't work out how to even do the basic thing like connect to a computer, and yet you're a super hacker or whatever else. And so we kind of thought, well, the best thing to kind of do to answer to that is make you a total noob. You know, you're a technophobe dad. He doesn't like using his phone. He says things like, "What's a Bluetooth?" You know, and you need to be guided. You go on a journey while you learn the mechanics of the game along with the character themselves. Tolle says, "Nah, that's right. The first name, Tolle. Cool. Looks cool. I'm so excited for this game. Hyped. Awesome." So, I mean, the first thing that you need to do when you enter each room, I actually kind of skipped over the fact that there are these text messages we could read from the other room that a guy saying, "Dave, are you asleep again? Seriously though, if you're sleeping, mate, I can't cover for you again. Ward was pretty skeptical last time." So you could, from the other room before we got in here, you could actually tell the guard was going to be asleep and not worry about it. And luckily, he's left his security card lying on the desk also. So we download the file. Basically, Off-Grid is a game where you are tasked with mapping out, looking for data, and collecting all the interesting stuff you can. You then end up with it all up in here in your files. So, like, we've got the manual for the controls. We've got the sort of fictional manual for your hacking black iOS tools. So I suppose that's what I didn't explain properly, actually, that there's this notion that essentially your glasses in Off-Grid are like AR glasses. Your character is seeing all these networks through his apps on his phone, which we've got on the left-hand side here, being kind of visualized through his Google Glass type glasses. So yeah, we're often into the offices on our first variety.
On terrorism charges or something.
Oh yeah. No, I did hear something about that. So what are they saying? This guy's a terrorist?
So on top of kind of playing as a noob, you know, kind of a bit of a dad who's got no clue about the tech. I think the next question is like, why would you choose to then make it about a kind of father-daughter story? And we wanted to work out, well, why would this technophobe want to learn something as complex as hacking if that was the case? And the single biggest motivating factor for most people, if they have kids, is if something went wrong with their kids, they'd do anything. And I think that it's kind of interesting. Like, people have sometimes like Off-Grid is kind of like a hacker's version of the film Taken, and I think there's probably some definite overlap with that there. And the kind of the reasoning behind that would be, you know, the reason I would say it's only kind of a partial overlap is actually like Liam Neeson in something like Taken is. He's kind of a specialist or an expert, where we're playing as this total noob, and that's kind of the thing that I wanted to kind of get into with Off-Grid, was the idea that totally ordinary people might do extraordinary things given the right circumstances. So what we've got here is we've been told to try and get through. Maybe there's an air vent or something in the bathroom. The air vent is closed. And this is where Off-Grid kind of diverts from your usual stealth game. Like, in your usual stealth game, it would be, okay, right, the air vent is closed, I've got to go and find something else, or some other route, or maybe some way to break into it. In Off-Grid, the bathroom is powered in part by the Drytech personal hand error. Be sure to like and share us on Facebook. So, essentially, that hand dryer over there has just sent us a text message, which means it's on the same network as us. which means we have an opportunity here to try and hack into it. So essentially, you've got your tools on the left-hand side. We turn on the SSH connection, and as with many things in the world of IoT, password is known or not required for this device. This has been poorly configured. It's easy to knock into. It's probably using admin.admin or admin password, and so we pop a shell straight into it. And that's the kind of premise in a lot of off-grid, is like, most devices are poorly secured. You don't need to be buying some ODE in order to find a vulnerable access to a box or a device. As it gets more complex, you then have to try and find who might be the owner of the device and profile them and collect data in order to then crack passwords. So that's the kind of direction we go. Tollis says, will there be character customization? Looking like an old man is fine, but it would be cool. Can't see the rest of your thing. It would be cool to be someone else, I assume you're going to say. So, yes, is the answer. There is character customization in Off-Grid. Off-Grid is, as I mentioned earlier, kind of entirely moddable. So in the core storyline of Off-Grid, it is story driven. So for the story to make sense, you do have to play as this old man. I mean, old man. That's tricky, isn't it? He's not as old as Liam Neeson. He's maybe in his kind of 40s or so. But still, I suppose that is an old man to most people. Most people playing video games. Anyway, the answer for character customization is yes. You can actually, if you mod the game, you can swap any NPC or any character out for a new one, and you can change the color, their haircut, their glasses, their props, their accessories. You can make new AI. You can make new you can make lots of different character variations. More in the context of modding and mods than the core experience to start with. You'll always play the first run of Off-Grid as Joe, and then other things will open up to you, if that makes sense. Tollis says, I'm 23, so 40 years old. Yeah, no, fair enough. I did assume that was probably the direction you were kind of going in with that. So yeah, we've got SSH. We are going to SSH into the hand dryer. And the name of the game in Off-Grid is basically look for vulnerable devices that you can use to your advantage. And if they have interesting data on them, then take it. So on this hand dryer, the first thing that we've got here is social user logs. So this hand dryer has user logs of the people who've been using it, the members of staff in the building, and it's given them a hygiene score. So Mick Umbridge has a hygiene score of around 40%. That's a cautionable offence. Eric Reinhardt is a total germaphobe. Dave Coleman gets a pass. This is probably interesting to us. You know, this is the names of potentially the guards in the building. So we'll download that data. That'll be useful. We'll go into the system information and have a bit of a look. Continuous test mode off. Warning, enabling continuous test mode will generate high temperatures. Make sure that there is enough ventilation to avoid overheating. That maybe is a bit of a clue. Let's turn that on. We definitely want some more ventilation. And basically changing the... Oh, I know why this has happened. Changing the temperature is basically going to open that air vent. Although, we've got a little bit of a problem because the guard the other side has heard. Well, there we go. It looks like he's moved on. You hear the air vent? We crawl very carefully. I think we've gotten away with it. Yep. So the members of staff through there are certainly ones to avoid. Do some sprint crawling. I think it should be a bit safer. So like I said, the kind of core mechanics of off-grid are finding interesting data. Hey David, what are you up to? Marcus. Oh yeah, so you've got loads of different apps and options with these utilities. We'll put on delete data as well so you can see a bit of that. But essentially, I can now start to copy and erase interesting data for them. I know you weren't really ill. Don't pull that crap with me, is one of the text messages there. Someone gets in trouble at work. Oh, I've just been spotted. Dang. Okay. One of the difficult things with streaming a stealth game is like showing people stuff and then kind of putting yourself in the line of sight. So we've just been told that I've modified the software that accesses the camera and light sensor on your glasses. You should be able to use an app called Light Monitor now to give you a reading of the light levels where you are stood. Joe says, why is that helpful? Not exactly the right time for selfies. What does Smedley say back? Smedley says, well, if you know the light levels where you are stood, you'll have a better idea of whether anyone can see you. Ah, okay. I do, yes, that makes sense. I can use some effect. Just the same as your other apps. Scroll over to it on the app wheel, you'll be able to turn it on. Just like that. I'm going to have to try and run, hide. I think we're alright. Let's turn on the light monitor. So, oh no, not alright.
Not so fast after all.
We got. It's okay though. Should restart us in the bathroom. No, there we go. Good. Alright. So, let's look for some feeling upset. Gonna get my doctor's degree. Lamau. So, a thing to know about off-grid is that all of the personalities of the characters generate procedurally generated messages. So you get some funny ones, but it's actually kind of an important characteristic in off-grid because it means that the data that they're leaving behind pertains to their behaviors and the kind of things they're likely to interact with do. So we will end up essentially wanting to collect data that might be useful. Careful here for a second. Remember, Toller and Ben and anyone watching, well, first, thanks for coming along and watching. Secondarily, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. More than happy to answer questions as we go along. Just having a look at my streaming plan notes. So, yeah, Off-Grid, a game about this IoT Googling hot mess of a world we live in. Basically, it's a game about how insecure all the data around you is. We want to put on the light monitor. So we're pretty well hidden if we stick over here, actually. You see the little percentage up in the left-hand side? That's kind of... it's kind of like sort of Splinter Cell-esque or I think it was Metal Gear Solid 3 was the one where the camo percentage meter came into play. This guy's reading his text messages. You'll find that the guards and NPCs in Off-Grid spend a lot of time on their phones, which ends up being useful for us. Been a long time since I had lunch. Time to eat. That might be a useful one. I love chocolatey bar, chocolatey bar. Someone likes chocolate bars. That may end up being useful to us. Dollar says like real life. I missed what you're saying like real life too. Sorry, I didn't have my eye on the chat that time. Like real life with how much people are using their phones, I assume. Same with this guy over here getting his coffee. So these characters' motivation is defined by things like whether they drank enough coffee, whether they have listened to their favorite radio station recently, stuff like that. So we can manipulate where they are in the building by starting to kind of find things like adverts for coffee, discounts on things like that. So hopefully I'll get a good opportunity to show you something along those lines as we end up in various binds. So we've been told we need to get onto the other networks of the building. Kind of important to make sure that you have access to as many networks as possible, to pick up as much data as possible, to then be able to manipulate as many other characters out of the way as you can. That they spend all their time on their mobiles. Yep. So we need to get into the server room to get onto the networks in the building. We're locked out. We haven't been lucky enough to see any other key cards lying around as we went about our kind of bits and bobs. So much like the situation with the bathroom and the hand dryer, the first thing you do is look for devices. There's a laptop over there that could be useful, but it says not enough information to guess the password, which puts us in a bit of a bind. However, basement smart TV, password is known or not required. So let's have a look at that. An SSH into this one. And we have root on the smart TV. So, smart TV system, settings, it's got an API, nothing in there that we can select or do anything with. Weepingangel.exe, that doesn't sound great. Start wireless connected, manually add IP to ETH-O with ifconfig. ETH-O keeps IP while powered on and while wake off. Essentially, Weeping Angel is a piece of malware in this instance. You might know the reference. WikiLeaks dropped a big set of leaks about CIA hacking tools. And in one of those hacking tools was something called Weeping Angel, which was an implant that you could put on Samsung TVs. So you needed physical access, but you could drop malware onto a Samsung TV. You could make its mic turn on and off remotely. And record and then send over the internet back to wherever you were listening in from. Whatever messages were being said in front of the TV without any lights on or whatever else. Essentially a hot mic. So that's what this is kind of a reference to. It's listening. Speech to text is listening. Turn that off. It's got conversation.pass. So we've got a conversation here. Well, first things first, the password to your work laptop is temp passport intern 123. Change it as soon as you log in, not least because working in the IT department actually gives you all the security key access levels sat on your machine, so that you can burn replacement ID cards for staff when they get lost or stop working. Now, the second most important thing was lunch, because for brackets error, target proximity to mic. Download speak to text log as plain text file. There we go. So, that's useful. Just need that to cool down. There we go. Okay. Admin internship at security department.doc. Data admin door access PGP. That looks like something should be. So, that should give us our way in. So, this is probably a good point for, well, actually, now that we're in, let's get on the network, and then we can have a chat. Remember, ask questions. Anything that you're kind of interested in or want me to elaborate on, I want you to tell me in the chat. Tell you what I also need to do is check on Twitch and a couple of other places just to make sure that I missed any questions there. Did I miss any questions here on YouTube or Twitch? Let me know if I did. I didn't mean to. Sorry. I'll keep an eye on that. Ow. Yeah. So we were just gonna get in here. Smedley says, okay, now we're talking. Remember that little USB I gave you? Joe says, yeah? Great, that's going to come in handy. It's called a Rainbow Ducky. And my guess is the admin of the IT department here has not left this console open. Rainbow Ducky, question mark. It's a mini microcontroller inside a USB that imitates keyboard inputs. You plug it in and it types in thousands of the most commonly used passwords from a file in seconds to try and brute force the password input on the computer. And then essentially it connects your Wi-Fi. Just realised I've got... that's quite odd. Can you guys see a weird thing of the restream? Strange. Restream chat is hanging over my face. Let's see whether that disappears. I'm going to have to fix it in OBS. Let me just... Okay, back to our usual programming. So, Smedley said, check your inventory. Your inventory is up here. We'll grab this Rainbow Ducky USB dongle. So off-grid's kind of, that's where it fits the kind of action-adventure category, if that makes sense. Like, there are also, there's data you need to collect, there's items you need to find and combine with different things. to get you different access to different things. Points. So we're going to plug in here. That looks like that's turned that machine on. We now have access. System, check for updates. Add device to network. Network access. Connect to the Apostles' internal network. No interesting logs to pick up there, unfortunately. We're in Joe, main Apostle network, admin privileges. Now we can do some serious pwnage. Okay, now that you're plugged in, I think it's a good time to tell you why I asked you to break into my own offices, says Terence Stewart. We can say, yeah, I think you owe me an explanation, actually, or no, let's just get this over with. It would have been courteous to have been told before I had to break in. Let's go with that. Terence, the newspaper editor, says, I'm sorry to have gotten you embroiled in this madness, but I'm certain helping us is in the best interest for your daughter. Ridiculous circumstances call for ridiculous measures. I very much appreciate you taking the risk. I promise in return we'll do all we can to help you find out what's happened to Jen. Terence says the journalist's office is on the first floor mezzanine at the front right side of the building. The laptop with the leaked stories and the documents has been air-gapped and locked in there all day. If you can't find it, try following the data trail from the laptop's earlier connection to the network. From what I can see, it looks like it was down here in the server earlier on. Okay. And Terence says, oh, and I'll buy you a pint if we get to the other end of this march on our civil liberties without bags over our heads. Joe replies, depressing. So, I guess this is, yeah, as I was saying, this is a good point to kind of answer a few questions I prepared earlier, which is like, what is the inspiration for Off-Grid? You know, like I sort of mentioned at the beginning of the stream, kind of the last 10 or 15 years of hacktivism, I suppose, is what I kind of gave as a top-down view on it. To give some more context to that, Off-Grid was kind of initially inspired for me by something called the INET conference that I went to, which is the Internet Networking Conference. It's quite a dry conference usually. They're like, at the time, they were just talking about the future implementation of IPv6, for instance. There were a lot of vendors there who were involved in the laying of fiber network cables, talking about various implications. But I did meet some interesting people there. I met a guy called Aram Seinrich, who had worked on projects in countries that were surveilled and oppressed to help them build small mesh networks. And I spoke to Evan Moglen and before I spoke to him, was inspired by his speech that he gave on essentially how we had lost control of the internet. He said data miners are essentially selling you to an advertiser before you know what you want. Governments are spying on you. Corporations are controlling you. The internet has been lost. We need to take it back. I thought it was fascinating, really. And so that really kind of set the ball rolling for me. This was in the kind of golden era of hacktivism from kind of the anonymous perspective. You know, it was 2010, 2011. And you had things like Operation PayPal, Occupy, hadn't quite happened yet. Arab Spring was on the way. Op Tunisia. So lots of kind of fairly high profile anonymous operations, hacktivism things were kind of going on, and to hear in a room full of quite sort of it was, let's be honest, it was the internet networking conference. It was greybeards. It was a lot of guys who were around when Perl was invented. Perl is a programming language, a community-driven programming language for those that use it. But it was a lot of people with greybeards, a lot of old guys talking about the various ins and outs of the future of the internet. And this guy at Moglen stood up and said, "Hey, look, we've got revolutions happening around the world where people are needing internet networking solutions given to them, and hacktivists are providing them in order to try and take down dictators. And we're all sitting here twiddling our thumbs, and we've allowed our use of the internet to be completely overcome by people like Mark Zuckerberg." And so, essentially, in 2011, you've got to remember, this is 9 years ago, that was quite fresh. Everyone was still in this kind of heyday of like, oh, Google and Facebook are so good, they're going to transform the internet, they're connecting everyone, all this kind of stuff. No, there wasn't a lot of criticism going on, so it was really quite inspiring. So that was 2011. I was like, well, you know, I want to make games that change the world, that have a kind of something to say, and I hadn't realised that making a game about digital rights could then kind of represent the much broader problems that we face with all activism and kind of democracy, which is like, unless the internet is a free and open platform, we don't have much chance of having free and open discussions. So yeah, I was like, well, maybe I could make a game about mesh networking and digital rights. And in 2011, I was like, well, maybe. And then I put it on the back burner. I had a lot of other things that I was doing for my day job at the time that were completely unrelated. I continued doing sort of small game jams, but I was making games more about kind of environmental issues and things like that I thought were kind of fun. So then Pontus, my co-developer, and I got to chatting about this stuff kind of a year or two later. Shoot, we're going to get spotted if I'm not careful.
Cool, bloody hell, a burglar.
No! Hide! Oh. He got me.
Sorry, mate. You did ask for it.
So Pontus and I basically got to chatting about those kinds of ideas, and we started prototyping some ideas for a game where you had to, you know, with the kind of mass surveillance and data privacy kind of thing, you had to try and hide your data and discover the data of others, was the idea. So we've got a load more devices on the network actually now that we're connected to them, which is useful. Oh, there you go. And there's the laptop data. So this is the trail. Laptop Wi-Fi access unknown. That's the trail we need to follow. Pontus and I were basically kind of chatting through kind of like how you'd make a game about this sort of idea that data is something that you need to try and hide away and not allow people to manipulate. And so we got, well, you know, we started making some sort of game where you ran around like this. You had data trails and data could be collected and manipulated. And it kind of became apparent pretty quickly that like the ideal genre for this would be a stealth game, you know, like you want to hide your data. You want to hide not just your character, but the data they're leaving behind. So I'm just going to follow this data trail belonging to the device we need to find, for instance, is an example of that. And so we started making Off-Grid into more of a sort of stealth game, and it became... Oh, there's someone over there. Careful. You can just use this stuff to keep an eye on where they are by the data they've left behind as well. When we first started prototyping this idea of a game where you were hiding data and you know, it wasn't as important to hide your character as it was to hide the data they were leaving behind. Hang on. A couple of these guys just hanging around the corner. Okay. People were like, what's a data, man? Like, this is 2013. People are like, what? Like, how in the heck are you going to be making a game about that kind of thing? And we were like, well, I mean, this is important, you know. Like, to most people, this is just like a very nerdy kind of thing to be concerned about. And then overnight, that changed. Like, 2013, Edward Snowden dropped the NSA leaks, and all of a sudden, people had like the vocabulary available to have a public discourse around surveillance, mass surveillance kind of programs, the way that the government treats people's data, all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden people were like, oh, you're going to make a game about the Snowden stuff. And that was like, oh yeah, well that kind of makes sense. Yeah, that is kind of where we are. And so the themes have evolved over time, you know, like essentially Off-Grid is a game about surveillance capitalism, if you've ever heard that term. The idea that data mining and commercial products have combined to make selling of tracking of people a more lucrative business than making them a useful product and selling it to them. So that idea that people have become products instead of consumers, and companies collect people, essentially. Obviously, sort of themes of government overreach, the idea that all of these networks in the game are things that governments and corporations have access to. They're doing various things too that we need to be aware of. While she's there, this is kind of a fun one, I think. Elevator. Yep. Up and down elevators. Ellie Crypt is your daddy now. Pay me or use the stairs. I forgot to show this to Larry the other day. File Ellie Crypted. Pay me or use the stairs. Pay me or use the stairs. Send min 4 Bitcoin. Enter decryption key. Oh, no. Save next. So in the kind of nature of spotted. Okay. Well, let's hack this light. At least get some hidden.
I wonder how the football's going.
Okay, she's gone.
Go on, let's drop it. Ball.
So, oh crap, he's still there though. Gonna need to try and get him out of the way. Not sure what. But I think there might be a telephone, hackable telephone somewhere, actually. Turn data utility off, that's getting in our way at the moment. See whether we... That's the coffee machine. Desk lamp. Desk lamp. Need something that's going to make some noise. What else is Off-Grid about? Off-Grid is kind of about the vilification of whistleblowers and hackers. I mean, like, I think lots of people don't realise that hackers are kind of, most of the time, just teenagers who are poking around on the internet. That's how most people get into trouble, is they just have an interest in computers, they learn a few networking tools, and then all of a sudden they have hacked a SCADA system by mistake and they have ownership over a power station on the eastern seaboard. We've got a problem here, that's a bug. What's he doing?
Where are you going?
Okay.
Got you now.
I think the thing that I'm learning at the moment is I need to put more devices that I can distract people with sounds from. I'm going to have to get up at top there again. So, Off-Grid is also kind of explicitly non-combat. Like, we wanted to make a hacking game that is about hacking. Not about going and beating people up, but hacking some stuff. Watch Dogs. For us, there's like enough violence in the world, and hackers aren't violent criminals, and there's just no need for it. Like, in my opinion, Watch Dogs is a gross misrepresentation of hackers and hacker culture. I've had conversations with some of the team on the Watch Dogs games. I've said that it's a problem, it's a serious problem, that you represent hackers as violent, because they then get treated as such in real life by real judges. Essentially, like, for instance, an example is, I have a friend called Lowry Love who was on the stream with me last night. He was being extradited to the US over the last few years, and he's beaten that, and he's managing to stay in the UK, and he's not being prosecuted. But he was being put up for a 99-year potential sentence in the US. If he was charged on equivalent crimes in the UK, it would have been like a maximum of 2 to 4 years in jail. And that's because of this hyper vilification of hackers, young hackers, who are often just techie people like us. I think Watch Dogs does a lot of damage for people from that perspective, and does actually change how judges sentence people. And I don't think we need violence in hacker games for exactly that reason. You might say, oh, that's crazy. How would that affect the way that judges view hackers in a courtroom? You know, it's a video game. Judges probably don't even know about the video games, but they read the headlines. You know, they hear about GTA and Watch Dogs and whatever else, and they do make those associations. And an example or a case in point is a hacker from the 90s called Kevin Mitnick, who was ended up being the FBI's most wanted person. Non-violent crime, but still for some reason the FBI's most wanted person. Not someone who'd gone and you know, there were other people on that list who'd killed multiple people. When it came to his trial, the judge put him in solitary confinement because of the fact that he had watched and banned him from using a telephone because of the fact that he had watched or he had been told by a senator or someone on a particular committee about the film War Games from the 80s with Matthew Broderick, yes, of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He'd been told about this movie where a kid could whistle down the phone and launch nuclear codes. And this judge actually thought that that's how dangerous someone like Kevin Mitnick could be, because Kevin Mitnick was a phone freak. He knew how to manipulate payphones and things like that. He genuinely thought Kevin Mitnick would be able to, if he wasn't in solitary confinement, if he didn't have his phone privileges revoked, he would be able to whistle down the phone and launch missiles or escape from prison. And so he was treated as the most high security prisoner out there, and that was because of a fiction, in this instance a film, misrepresenting hackers. And so I think actually it's quite important that video games represent hackers in a meaningful and representative way, because otherwise if they're like off 3D printing RPGs to shoot grannies with, then that's going to cause problems for people, for real people, real hackers down the line. Anyway, that's rant over. End rant. Toller says, if this man is a noob, what is his reasons for becoming a hacker? That's a perfect question. Something I sort of touched on a little bit. But essentially, yeah, his daughter being taken away, his only real way to get her back, he's told by her hacktivist friends, look, she's in some deep trouble. The only way we can work out what's happened to her is by trying to get access to documents. There's a conspiracy going on. The only way we can get access to those documents is to hack, and we're going to teach you how. So essentially, you're playing this man who is a noob who is being guided into the hacker world and hacker culture. I think this guy... Oh, that's good. Yeah, good question, Toller. Data utility off. Down a little read of her messages. hopefully that answers your question, Toller. I mean, I'm happy to elaborate more as well. If you want to sort of ask a follow-up, please do. Okay. Right. There's a guard. We saw that other guard. Oh my god, I've been spotted. She come. Just basically check the data trails, see who's where and what they're doing. Go around the corner. Oh.
Oi,
Oh
come back
no!
here. Wow, that was fun. Get up so I can do it again.
Toller says, have to go, but keep up the good work on the game and take care, everyone. Thanks very much, Toller. Thanks for watching. Jump in the Discord. Come and chat to us again. The Discord is... let me type it in the chat. You can get to us at discord.gg/Samaopus. Yeah, that's a good place to chat to us more and to keep up on things and to find out about testing betas and things that we'll be doing in the future. So, yeah, drop us a line. Okay, let's try and get around this stuff. As before, we're going to follow the laptop's data trail. Here. Right. Checking phones in unison. Right. SSH on. There we go. Get the lamp, turn it off. Make sure you say hello in the chat, especially seeing as Tolla, who's been chatting to me plenty, has got to head off. If you're there watching, I'd love to hear from you, love to hear your questions. Might just jump on Twitter, see if we've got anyone asking questions in there. Right. Check if we've got anyone asking questions in Discord. Okay. Tolla says, nice, I will give it a look. Awesome. Well, I look forward to chatting with you more in the Discord then. She is just reading her phone loads. There we go. Gotta be careful running in off-grid. Get heard if you sprint. Right there! Get in here, get in here, get in here, get in here. Turn that light off. A lot of guys walking around up here. Head in a box.
I wonder how the football's going. Dum-da-da. How do you spell C-A-K-E? God, this job is boring.
Actually pay attention to where he went. Might have been a bad idea. So the checkpointing part of the game. Oh! Spotted regularly from. Wait for him to. That doesn't come behind us, I guess. That guy who's coming behind us. Come on. Get going, get going. Okay.
I wonder how the football's going.
Yeah. See what I'm not doing now. I'm not using the light monitor properly. No, we're not in too much light, I don't. Come on. Come on. Okay, just checking his text messages, it looks like. McFly. McFly is here. I was not aware of a stream that late in the night. McFly, I didn't want to bother you with one that was this late at night. I did see that you were playing off grid though. When I first logged on. How you doing? It's nice to have a friend in the chat. Ask me some questions. We're just going to try and get into the journalist's office here, ahead of this guard turning around. We'll do it. That guy doing, he's alright. Yep, okay. I'm just going to hide over here for a second. McFly, have you been working on your off-grid mod? That's the question. That's the main question at hand. McFly, still don't understand data view properly. Well, I mean, essentially, the main thing is it gives you an indication of where the guards are walking. So you know how to avoid them. Secondarily, it is something that you can then go and collect data more specifically on. So I guess what I'll do is I'll turn SSH off and throw the data utility on. We can now have a look at the text messages that are being left behind. So this one says, "Hey Barry McLemon, why the bejesus haven't you replied to my email? Love, Michael." So we'll download that file. In fact, I'll turn on the data delete thing so that we can see which will get rid of the files that we've already downloaded. I'm going to first person view, but we can't actually delete that one. I need to do some work on first person as well. But essentially we can start to collect the data on individuals. I'll try and collect some more bits. My lookbook account keeps locking me out. We'll delete that one and get hold of a copy. Hey Barry, old chum, please could you come back to work tomorrow? Gosh, gonna be a busy shift, grr. All that kind of stuff. So then, basically, what we then can do, now that we've collected a bunch of bits of data, is go to the People tab, and we have started to build profiles on each of these characters and the guards. And so we've got all the files here that we've downloaded so far. Might have to come up with a better way of organizing these, whether maybe it's a drop down to filter them by data type or something, because that's all SMSs. Thanks for using RentoClean. We'll have a view of that. That is... We've got data basically pertaining to whether people have washed their hands or not. They've got the DryTech user log. We know that his first name is Barry, derogatory name is Lemon, favourite swear is bejesus, best friend is Michael, exclamation gosh, stuff like that. So collecting data then gives us the ability to profile the character, and you can use that profile to try and start to work out how they might behave. You know, if you hack the vending machine, do we have their favourite food? No. Anyone else though? Do we... Favourite drink? Coffee. Marcus Boredom. We know that we could get a coffee voucher and maybe hack the coffee machine and distract them for a while with the coffee machine. So McFly says, is that the recent build that I also have? Yeah, that's the build that you have via first access, and it's also the build that people get to play through the demo that's on Steam Games Festival currently as well. So yep, all this sort of data manipulation and stuff is part of the mechanics in the recent builds. McFly says, you need someone who re-watches the videos and makes tickets out of that. What ticket system do you use for development? We use Jira. We don't have a public Jira, but we do have a Trello board for bugs. So I mean, actually it's a good thing to mention. If you go to the Discord, we have a bugs channel, feedback and bugs channel. Anyone who's playing the demo, and please do go and download the demo as part of the Steam Games Festival. Wishlist Off Grid and download the demo and have a play with it. And remember that if you come up to some bugs or some things that you feel features that need tweaked, don't unwishlist us. Bear in mind the game is in progress, and come and work out, basically chatting to us on the Discord about how you'd like to see the game improved. And that leads into what McFly is asking me about, which is we have a bug tracking board on Trello that you can get to via the Discord. Go to the Discord, go to the feedback and bugs channel, or demo feedback and bugs channel, and there are a couple of pins in there, pinned messages. One of them is access to a Trello board where you can list features that you'd like to request, bugs that you found. It has instructions on how to find the game's logs so that if you get any crashes, we can get more accurate data on why that was, that kind of stuff. Yeah, please do go to Discord, give us your feedback, go on the Trello board. There's actually also a questionnaire on how you find the controls, which is something that third-person controls are incredibly hard. We're still working on them actively. So if you can fill out the controls questionnaire and us get more data on what we might want to tweak or change or shift around, or what still needs implementing, then yeah, let us know. Keen to hear from people. Yeah. Where are we at? McFly, does that answer a bit of the question on the data view and how to use it? I mean, like for instance, favorite drink coffee. I don't know whether the coffee machine outside of this office is set up properly for it. Go and have a look. First, we'll see whether there's anyone else that's going to get us. But there's a coffee machine here. We'll turn data view off this time. Turn SSH on. Hit up the coffee machine. I think this hasn't been set up fully. It's just using a really basic script on it. Yeah, a mock on off. So in a more developed version of the game in the future, the coffee machines will be properly set up everywhere so that they have discounts and deals, and you can download the coffee machine save 10% file and send it to different people. That will attract a guard to use the coffee machine more frequently, then you can go and set it up so that it malfunctions or does some kind of purge or cleanse thing instead of dispensing a coffee. And in this instance, save and exit, it spits out some steam and some cups. So you know that when the guard goes and uses it, it's going to spit up some steam and cups, and it's going to hit them in the face. Maybe make them roll around on the floor for a little while. That makes sense? So, the reason you're seeing everything in data view is to get a handle on what people are most likely to do and mess about with, and go from there. That makes sense, with how you can manipulate them and change them around. So, sort of talking about mechanics there, let's see whether I've covered everything I wanted to chat about in terms of mechanics. I sort of said we wanted to make a game about some surveillance. We assumed you need to make a game where you track the data of others and hide your own. McFly says that makes a lot of sense. Cool. Yeah, it's still a bit clunky as a system, the data stuff. And the way that you manipulate the AI and how consistently they're manipulated. So that's stuff we're still working through. McFly says, yeah, I can see with the level that it's a lot of work to build a game and mechanics. Yep. Yeah, it is. I think people underestimate how much time goes into making games, and modders do get a sense of it. So now that you're modding, you've definitely put 100 hours into that mod, and people who make mods for games put thousands of hours into their mods, making them cool, making them interesting. But it's a thing that you can then share, that you can share an experience with thousands of people around the world. It's well worth spending some time on, I think. So yeah, I mean, as I said, it became immediately apparent that the best data to fit that around would, the best gameplays to fit that kind of data stealthing around would be stealth gameplay. McFly says, I am sure I've put in over 100 hours. Yeah, I think you have. Oh, hey, do you mind chatting in the Steam broadcast? If you can tune into the Steam broadcast and chat in the chat there, that'll be A, easier for me to see, but B, it gives me a bit more activity in the feed for the Games Festival. So elaborating on all the data, kind of hiding it and whatever else, we kind of then had that naturally evolve into the idea, well, you're going to need to be able to hack devices. You're going to need to be able to hack devices in order to get hold of more data on characters, to get hold of data that you can use to manipulate characters, all that kind of stuff. So Off-Grid kind of started as a stealth game and evolved into a hacking game, and it's sort of more hacking game than stealth game in some ways now. It's an interesting balancing act. Right. So I guess the thing to do is to say, well, we've worked out where we are. We're in the journalist's office that we're trying to find. We found the journalist's laptop. The laptop doesn't seem... It's in a safe, and it doesn't seem to be accessible. So, once again, we're in this kind of situation where I guess we could look on the table for sticky notes. Passwords on, I don't see anything immediately available. Guard out there that we need to be careful about. This computer here doesn't seem to be doing much. I don't think I can turn it on either. Yeah. And Fly says, "I will have a look." Cool. So our best bet is finding a device that is hackable, and luckily right next to the safe where the laptop is, we have a printer that is insecure. Lo and behold, another insecure device. Pop shell, system information, tour usage guide, interview timetable, holiday snaps, safe password, delete me.txt. Tut tut tut. And we can head into our files here. Safe password, txt. You really have to get better at remembering this. The combo is 2013-08-19. Please delete this file. Whoops. McFly says he can't post in broadcast. Oh, okay. That's a bit odd. Is that a technical issue, or you just don't want to? So, just a second. Fly is trying to secretly communicate with me. Weird, it's not letting you post. I can't read the German for that, but it says something about it can't send the letter. Yeah, that is weird. Error while sending the chat message. I wonder how many other people have that issue. Bizarre. To anyone who is in the Steam chat and would like to send messages, much like McFly is attempting to send messages in there, but is having trouble, you can jump on Twitch, you can jump on YouTube. We're watching it live there. I have a way of getting the messages in from there. Yeah, bizarre. Right. So, we've got the safe. Key. Let's open the safe. There is, pardon me, the journalist laptop with a lovely Linux desktop. Screensaver background. Hack into the journalist's laptop. And this is where I need to get Barrett Brown in to fill out what the contents of an investigative journalist's laptop looks like. At the minute he's just got the room director's cut, crack what, MKB, leaked documents, interview timetable. Download the leaked documents.dat. Completed task. Journalist laptop. Find the journalist laptop. Copy leaked documents from it. And this is actually something that I keep forgetting to show people. People do get lost in Off-Grid, which is totally understandable. It's quite a complex game. Did I just sneeze? McFly's just said, bless you. I must have sneezed. I was trying to think of the German word for bless you. Gesundheit? No. Right. Terrence, the newspaper editor, says, you have the files? Joe says, yes, I think so. Terrence says, good. Find your way to the rooftop. There should be a radio antenna and power connection for the mesh node. We've been packing away things in the second floor, but there's probably still a few guards around at night time. You might have to find a way to distract them a bit to get to the rooftop stairs. Okay, I'll figure out something. Or any ideas how I can do that? Gesundheit. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Gesundheit. I just said it wrong. Any ideas how I can do that? I ran an Nmap scan of the office network. Looks like there are at least some network devices on that floor. See if you can find something that could create a bit of noise to lure the guards out of your way, maybe? Okay, I'll see what I can... Smart water bottle, not enough information to guess password. It's not going to let us into that. Let's try collecting some betas.
Hey, you're not meant to be in there.
Oh no! What?
Thought you could get away, did you?
McFly says, so, need to go to bed. Have a great video stream. Thanks very much, mate. Thank you for stopping by. And I'll catch up with you soon. Well, I'll catch up with you over the weekend if you're up for coming on the mod later on in the weekend. So we'd love to stay though, but really need to get some sleep. Yep, no, absolutely. I mean, I had a nap before I came onto the stream specifically to make sure that I could manage, so I totally understand. Let's see. Actually, later I can. Yeah. Still just on device. Data utility, turn off it. Guards over there. My lookbook account keeps locking me out. I wonder why I got spotted from over here. It's annoying. By the way, didn't really mean that. See you tomorrow at 9:30 yet. Oh, we want to. Put delete on. Delete data. Workers for suckers. Lol.
I wonder how the football's going.
Spotted. Non-data workers for suckers. Non-G data. Good night, McFly. Thanks for stopping by. I need more network nodes for this part of the game. Full-time hacking stuff. I think a tab through button on stuff would good idea.
This is private property, mate.
Spotted. Right. Okay. Am I going to be able to get away in time? Oh! She just missed me? Has just missed me. I think I've locked out.
Come out, wherever you are. Nothing there.
Well, I wanted to try and get enough data, or it's her data.
You, come out. You're not supposed to be in here.
Turn SSH back. And still don't have enough information for that smart one. I want to know who the owner is. Damn. Well, we can maybe create a distraction if she comes back up here. This vending machine. No, that's... Power on social media. Turn the vent. Test vending. There we go. Coke machine is now spitting out a bunch of cans. Computer on this desk? There's a radio on this desk. There's a radio. Oh, yeah, there's a radio on this desk that I can connect. I go through another room first. So, as with lots of things in off-grid, just because you can't network into it immediately doesn't mean it's not accessible at some point. You just need to find another device that has access to it. So we've got this laptop here. File system. Char ticket, termination of employment notice, staff meeting.txt, off-grid soundtrack. iTooth, iRadio, Bluetooth speaker manual. Your order from Samaya for electronics, fossil financial report, new logo, final. Bluetooth enabled, scan for devices, iRadio not connected. Connected. Firmware, check for updates. No. And now the radio is available in the background. You see that? That's just come up behind the laptop. Music settings, system settings, power on, social media integration on. To play. That's changed the soundtrack actually for us. Oh yeah, we can hear some talk radio. That will hopefully distract a god away from us, but I can see the route to the rooftop, and I want to say it looks like we're safe. I know that always when I say that, yeah, no, I think we're all good. Space. We're onto the roof. Oh, the thing I was going to tell you guys about was there's drone data. There's a drone flying around. Yep, there he is. People get stuck in off-grid sometimes because of the amount of information. You can always review all of your messages in the messages tab. Usually kind of gives you some idea of what's going on. There's a tasks app as well. Gives you your current task, completed tasks. Share the documents. You need to put up a mesh network node. Upload the leaked documents to Hacker HQ. So yeah, we're looking for the antenna that was mentioned earlier. That's up there. Alright, yep, in the inventory I need to grab mesh network node, add that to the quick slot, tab out of there. Yep. Spotted at least. Add the mesh network node. Then go to files. Look for the leaked documents. There they are. Send to Hacker Wiki. That is that. Share the documents. Upload leaked documents to Hacker HQ. Bravo Panda Charlie. Lakewood's work is important to the cause, but more importantly for you, his research on the government's positioning to outlaw circumvention tech should give you some clues as to your daughter's situation. How soon will we know more? This seems futile. This seems futile. No need to get down, Joe. You've achieved a lot today. Chat. Thank you for playing Off-Grid the Game. .com for various things that you can find out about us. Join our Discord. Sign up to the newsletter. And wishlist here on Steam. Please do. I mean, I guess the kind of thing to do is open up to chat if you're there. There's a bunch of people watching who aren't saying anything at the moment. Let us know what you're thinking about the game, if you have any questions. Essentially, yeah, the only other thing I was thinking I could do is I could actually launch McFly's mod that he's been working on, which might be of interest to people. So I'll just do a git pull on his repo. While that's loading, pardon me. Yes. Is there yeah, any questions to the chat? Anything else of interest? For folks? No one's saying anything. I'll launch the mod then. Remember, the demo is available right the way through till Monday morning. So you've got another 2-3 days, two days really, to play the demo. We'd love to hear your feedback. See where you'd like improvements. The Discord is open. I linked it in the chat earlier. You can see it's Discord, www.discord.gg/Sameapus. I will add that in all the chats. And we do regular dev streams, so do kind of follow us on Twitch, or keep an eye on us here on Steam Broadcast. And what else? Oh, finally, sign up to our newsletter, offgridthegame.com/newsletter, or newsletter.offgridthegame.com. That's how you get in our inner circle. That's how you get the latest news from us. That's probably the most of the plugs that I need to do. Wonder if it's got anything else to say to us. It's going to take a moment for this mod to load. So, I'll just quickly connect this mod to the game. Basically, McFly has been making a mod off-grid. If I just go to the mod and launch it, I can connect it to the game. Looks like it's trying to load now. Fingers crossed it does. Taking a little longer than expected. Let's stop. There we go. We're into the mod. That's strange. Start. There we go. Into the mod properly. So this is the mod that McFly's been working on. This is a community-driven project. Basically, we give you all the tools that it takes to make off-grid, and we let you build your own levels. We let you add your own kind of environments. This is a real-life hacker camp, something that exists in real life that McFly is trying to mod to get people to make interesting use of. It's just an interesting example of the sort of thing that you can kind of cover. He's added Lowry, who I told you a little story about earlier.
Cool, bloody hell, a burglar.
As a character. He's not currently doing very much. We've set Lowry's little speaker buggy here, which get to play music. Yep. It's set up to represent a hacker camp that exists in real life, which is essentially just lots of music, food, and partying. and talks about hacking and hacker culture. So people will go and it's like a music festival, but instead of listening to your favorite bands, you're listening to your favorite hackers talk about the cool stuff that they've gotten up. So yeah, this is a pretty good example of a working mod in progress for off-grid. If you're interested in joining the modding community, there's loads of ways you can. Jump into the Discord, start chatting to me or one of the other devs. If you've got other mod projects you've done and you'd like to get involved with off-grid, then we're more than happy to accommodate. We want people testing and using the modding tools. Right, I'll hit stop, send us back to the wondering if there's anything else I could show you in off-grid while we're here. We'll try a different level. We'll try a different level just to show you a little bit of a sneak peek that I don't think is in the demo because I got the mods going. To stop network mod, close that down. No, it's stuck on the mod. Unfortunate. Load. No, it's going to keep reloading the mod. Okay. Well, let me get some extra music going on so that we don't end up with dead silence while I fill stuff. A new session. Let's see. So I hope you've enjoyed the stream, those of you at home, or wherever you're watching from. Do give me a shout. I love hearing from people. See, off-grid's a work in progress, so we're constantly trying to build on it. Music going on in the background. Okay, right, let's try restarting. Quit to me. Quit. Desktop. There we go. Steam good. Wait. Launch again, hopefully it goes into OBS as well. Yep, looks like it has. Okay. Game. Show missions. Workplace. Yep, it's working. Okay, just a sec. Let's have a look. So, this is actually the beginning of, this is one of the earlier levels. So, with no other leads as to what is going on and the local police department refusing to air your inquiry due to the national security letter, all you can do is follow the strange caller's instructions. You decide to head into work even though it's Saturday and see how anything there could possibly be related to Jen's arrest. After all, no one else is being helpful. What do you have to lose by seeing what this Smedley fellow see? Let's go. Right. Just thought I'd check in on the Steam Games Festival page, see whether anyone else out there. So, here we are in the workplace. Livestream internet providers and Ascent Auditants. Ascent Auditants is now closed office hours 8 AM to 5:30 PM Monday to Friday. Desk unattended, please call on intercom.
One sec, accountancy.
One says accountant.
Where are you going?
I didn't know you were supposed to be in today. McGill working you like a dog too, huh?
Yeah. Still open?
I've got root shells on your bootstrap. There's no place like 127.0.0.1.
So this sequence is meant to be a bunch of hacked TVs, weird noises.
You a bug, connect your phone to this machine. We are going to flash
What are you
it.
doing, Joe?
Hey.
My systems will eat your young.
Oh, okay, I see. Jeez.
To open the package, go to the
Wow.
inventory tab and select the use item button, item submenu. This should then give you 2 items, including SD card. So, like in the earlier game, this is before you've got your other apps. We've got like iNews and iTunes, iWeather. Got the dev tools, iHelper, iClock. But we don't have the hacking tools, and that's because we haven't had them installed yet. So this is a work in progress sequence that we're working on at the moment. Together, use that paper bag, get the SD card, use that, confirm, installing firmware, rooting system, securing device. Your device has been successfully rooted. Hit install to install the Black iOS toolset. Go. Welcome to Black iOS, the pen tester's augmented reality tool suite of choice. You are currently running the Black iOS security tool suite 5045. Downloading CryptChat. Okay, that's your phone and glasses rooted, some basic tools, and most importantly, CryptChat is installed. Let me send you my public key. What is a public key? Yeah, I'll explain another time. Okay, leave chat. Look at all those files. That is better. Right, this is CryptChat. See the padlock in the top right corner of this window? It means we have exchanged public keys, having an encrypted conversation. Okay, sure. Encrypted chat is no small feat since the government's digital commerce bill came in, but we can get into that later. First point of business, you can review these messages at any time. Just hit pause and go to the messages tab. Cool. Anything important that we talk about I will flag, and it will then also be generated in the task app, task list app you have. Make it easier to see. Again, you can review your current tasks in the pause menu tab. Oh, I've never used that task thing. No probs, we have a lot to learn here. So you're going to tell me what I'm doing here? In fact, are you going to tell me what you are doing here? Look, all I know is your boss knows something. We need to work out what. Joe says. How? No idea yet. We'll find a way into his email, I guess. Well, I don't have access. Smedley says. Get into his computer then. It's in his office. Well, there you go then. Coming up with a plan of attack already. I'm proud of you, Joe. What? No, I mean... Gah! So... we're off to the races. Just check Twitter quickly. Seems fine. Come join the off-grid devstream, off-grid playthrough. On our Steam page as part of Festival. Go. One. Stuff. Okay. Back to the job in hand. Hopefully those all just went out. Right. So, we're talking over encrypted comms now, so I can speak a little more freely. I know your boss is colluding. My advice is to get into his email. Your first piece of the puzzle might be sitting there. How do I do that? We just had that conversation. Well, I've already tried network doors and his office is locked. I guess look around for some kind of RFID card writer. Is there a maintenance room or a department in the office? Well, it's more of an elaborate broom cupboard, but yeah, upstairs. Okay, that sounds like your first port of call. Know where his office is. Get in there. Facing the right direction to use your computer, lady. Tell you what, should probably. Probably drop hack effect test. So we'll get some stuff.
wonder how the football's going.
Okay, right. So, sorry, just trying to promote the stream a little bit, get a few more people in. Just F5 and see what our numbers are like. Hopefully got a few guys and girls there watching. Yeah, we've got 6 people in here. Like it to be a bit more. Right. So what do we have going on in here? There's a guard up there. Definitely need to avoid her. There's the maintenance cupboard. Well, that looks useful. Huang Tech RFID copy 4550. The equipment is only for legal purpose. Please strict comply with the relevant laws and regulation for use of all consequences of the equipment involved. The company does not assume any responsibility. Consent statement. Please press confirm, otherwise please shut down. Right, RFID copier. Executive authorized key file distributed passage systems. Right, that maintenance keycard data should get you into his office. Next up is getting the staff member out of the way. How do I do that? Well, this is where things start to get interesting. I am sending you a tool called Spectrum. It will allow you to see the data on the network. Okay, have a play with it. Left trigger or mouse wheel extends your distance in the network so you can... Once we have a scan of the networks, I'll drop you a message with some... Okay. Jesus, my funds are looking low. Wish payday was soon. Bot, I know you weren't really sick today. Pull that bejesus again, you are fired. Past this. Just have to wait for her data to start moving on. Oh, going? Okay, now you should have been able to see the data on the networks with Spectrum. Next, we are going to use the SSH tool to see if we can pick up any open devices. You'll have to explain that. Smedley says, well, next tool I'm sending you is SSH Connection. With this tool on while you are also in Spectrum view, you should start to see devices being targeted or highlighted with the reticle. Hitting A or left mouse button should then attempt to make a connection. Okay. Try targeting some devices. You'd be surprised how many of these devices are badly secured with default credentials like admin or admin password. This tool will probe any targeted device and see if you can get into it off the back of improper or lazy connection. Okay. Have SSH. Well, there's a device. Urge. There we go. Hopefully that's going to distract her. Well, looks like you have your eyes on the prize. So she's actually meant to disappear off somewhere else, but she's gone to the desk. Need to work out some better stuff with you. I am Dendy. Lit. Thanks, Dendy. Which bit is lit? Did you like the bit where I was showing how to hack the printer? Maybe? Hopefully. So, this says, office was locked, so it's unlikely his computer will be, but always worth a try. Smedley says, but if you have any trouble, there's always useful bits of information left lying around in old school hard copy. People have written reminders to remind themselves in the stupidest of places. Okay. Smedley says, your phone has a couple of basic tools on it that we can make use of. Scanning anything of importance with written information on will save that info as a file. Try it out with anything that looks interesting on McGill's desk. Joe says, I can't believe I'm doing this. Chat. Okay. Well, we're looking at this set of post-it notes, so let's try that. Scanning text to text. Nice, that makes getting into his email a tad easier. Let's have a look. Boss's password. You. Good boy Mo. Might be his dog's name also. Okay, right, so let's try getting into his computer then. That's targetable. Work hours. Mail service, backup messages. Download file, national security letter. What does the letter say? Haven't read it yet. You can easily view the contents of a file by hitting Start Escape, then go to the Files tab, hitting View option to find the file you want to read. Okay, I'll take a look. Cool. Next step is getting to high ground so we can set up a mesh node. Dump that dock. We may need to get onto. We need to get onto the roof now, and if anyone has a pass with authority to get up there, it will be this guy. Have a look to see if there's an access pass anywhere you can scan. Can't believe doing this. Leave chat. There's a pass there though. Ah, ID card. Out of here. Past this person. Right, lucky. Notice rooftop access, that looks useful. Follow that. I made it to the roof, but I can't see any good place for the mesh node here. There's a really impressive looking antenna on a higher roof, if I can get there somehow. There's no ladder or anything. I'll take a look around. Okay, see if you can find something, but if not, the antenna probably belongs to the ISP company who have their offices that side of the building. It's a longer route, but the admin door pass you've got might work on the door connecting the offices. Thanks, I'll try that way if I can't find anything. Good luck, just turn right when you get back inside from the roof. That corridor should take you there. Okay. Hey, how did you get there? That part of the building belongs to the big ISP company Firestream. Never been this part of the building before. Well, since you are there, they should have a nice big antenna on the rooftop. That would be a good place. Mesh node. So, now I need to sneak through their offices as well. Based on how hard their customer service is to reach, even at daytime, I doubt it's going to be too busy there. What's that? So, we're into the ISP offices. Oh, there's someone. Someone's in the server room! Start picking up some data on them. I don't have data, do I? Right. Okay. Probably not. Right off. Someone there. Some interesting occlusion culling going on here. Debate that. Hearing a bit much. She's not going anywhere, is she? Joe says, I've got a problem. There's a guard blocking the corridor ahead. There's no way I can sneak past the corridor. Looks like I could get past him if I went through those server rooms, but the doors are locked. Smedley says, the engineers working here will probably have door access to their lock network if you hack into one of their computers. I can see a laptop. I think it belongs to that engineer still working in the other server room. Happy hacking. Right. Okay. So, So, there's the data from that. There's the laptop that's being referred to. Not enough information to guess password. Try SSHing it. Will connect. Nope. Just gonna try. Failed. Did not validate. Okay. Suspected. This door is locked. So, as I explained earlier in the stream, actually, you can often get into stuff by collecting enough data on other characters. I don't have the data utility to do that. Whether the dev tool. Well, this is for me to cheat. Wonder. another device in there? Is there another device? Let's try that. What's this computer? I don't see anything here I can have. Well, I should be able to collect that data, but I don't have the tool installed for some reason. So I'm going to cheat and use the dev tools. Door access. No. Oh, it's network access that I need to change. No. I think I'm stuck then. Okay. Oh, installed new application data util. What? Why is further in? Well, good news is the laptop works and I can connect to it. Bad news is locked. There was an engineer or someone still working there. Time for a bit of social engineering then. Use your Spectrum app to see if he's left any data around. Figure out his password. What kind of data? Anything really. Text messages, social media stuff, whatever personal info you can find. What I do with it, I'll send you a good simple data copy app. You can use that to save any data you see in Spectrum. When you save data, it's automatically scraped for useful personal info, login details and whatever. You can check collected metadata in the pause menu tab. Best bit is your phone doesn't even need to do any of that work. Metadata is automatically available from Spectrum data. Yeah. Anyway, your new rooted phone has decent password cracker tool included, so it will use any metadata you have collected about someone to try to guess passwords on their devices. How do I use the app? Select the app in the app wheel and turn it on by pressing the up. When you have some data targeted, press A. Also press LB to switch to first person aiming mode. That can make it easier to search for the data you want. That's all you need for now. Sounds easy enough. Right, so I do have data suddenly. Nice. Probably I've had loads today, but I just want more. Out of spectrum. Oh, smart banking password, temporary password, God. I love candy. My job is boring. Let's have a look. Fire hunt. Exclamation golly. Favorite snack almonds. Hashtag life. Swear the Jesus of bank name. Smart banking. Let's see, hopefully we've got enough information on that now. Password can be determined from selected social profile. Password cracker, matching profile. Found matching password hash. Okay, sure. Server management, database backup. Insert a removable drive to create a drive backup. Doors management, reset doors permissions. Caution, this action cannot be reverted. Reset. Looks like we could probably get away with running through here. Hey, getting there now. We've made it. Place the mesh network node. That antenna looks like a good place to connect your mesh node to. Okay. Story. Use. There we go. Now go into your files and select and send the national security letter to the Mesh Leak Secure. Okay. Files. National security level 2. Still need to brighten up. Bend 2. Actually, secure drop. There we go. Nice. There is a journalist called Sven Lakewood who is most likely picking this up already. He's on his way back to the country at the moment. I'll get him a meeting. I'll get a meeting set up and let's get you over to him. Wait, why can't you do any of this? Smedley says, I have limitations. You are less expected. And everything else Lakewood will just do. I'll be in touch. For now, you should get some sleep. I'm being treated like a criminal. That's how criminalization works. But I'm not a hacker. You've added to the mesh network and helped release some classifieds. You are now a proud member of the Duplicati, mate. A writer called Stephen Levy once put it well. Privacy is outlawed, only outlaws will have privacy. Welcome to the club. There you go. So that's yeah, a little bit of an extra thing. I don't think this is in the demo at the moment. So that's a bit of the beginning of the game. It's still a work in progress. Lots of buggy stuff for me to try and sort out. But it should give you a decent impression of what Off-Grid is about, what it's like. Please feel free to yeah, grab a copy of the demo yourself. It's part of the Steam Games Festival for the next couple of days. I won't bother trying to load that. I think that's pretty broken build. That's the intro kind of cutscene thing. It's kind of cool. It's what I'm working on currently, but it's only half done. So I think if I play it, it's probably likely to break. Okay. Yeah. Download the demo. Wishlist the game. Join us on our Discord, and what else? Like and subscribe everywhere you can, wherever you are. Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram even. And we'll look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks again for stopping by and watching a bit of Off-Grid. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon. I'm tempted. Shall I just try and play this out, this little intro bit, see whether it breaks? I'm tempted to. Oh. Broken something. What happened to me? Focus of the mouse. See? Yep. Now I've got to get this out of frustration. Come on. Thing with work in progress builds. Let's see. I've got a feeling this is probably going to crash or break. It gives you an impression of the storyline. Here we go. That's interesting.
Jen, breakfast.
Coming!
There we go.
Hey, Dad.
Hey.
Yep, missing doors.
Come on, I'm hungry.
Missing props, broken props.
Coming right up.
Does he deliver breakfast? Yep.
I got you something. Happy birthday, Pops.
Still basically trying to build out this to be part playable. So this section is actually meant to have you
but the
able
OS is
to
open
deliver
source.
the breakfast.
You can pretty much load anything onto them.
Yeah.
This might be how this stays for the rest of it.
Oh, and look, I set up all your favorite apps, so if you turn on Bluetooth, they'll come right up.
It gave you a little bit of a kind
Bluetooth?
of sense of the intro stuff as well.
Wow. Huh. Yes, I see.
Yeah, just push right here.
Oh, okay, I see. Jeez.
There we go.
You mean the world to me,
one of the
darling.
cameras as well.
Freeze! Jen Harmon, you are under arrest. Please do not resist.
There's been a mistake.
Don't
What are you doing? Jen, I'll sort this out.
Stay back, sir.
You get tasered.
This, sir, is a national security letter. Under the Official Secrets Act, it is hereby a crime to talk or communicate about this incident. Your daughter will be in processing for 90 days. We'll call you.
What?
There we go. Cool. Well, now I've shown you all of this stuff in reverse order. So that's the intro to the game. Still a work in progress. Got some interesting stuff in it. Shown you the workplace, which is a kind of tutorialization level that is still being built up a bit more, and I've shown you the demo level. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good oversight of the kind of beginning of the game and its kind of the general feel, the tool set. Lots of stuff work in progress, still to be done, still to elaborate on. But I think it does give you, a sense of where we're going with things. Hit that wish list button, hit that like button, make sure that you support us any way you can. Join the newsletter, jump into the Discord, and my name is Rich. We are Sameapus. This was Off Grid, and thanks for coming. I will look forward to catching you at the next one of these.